Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today I have my 5 takeaway series covering 5 Dynasty topics. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let's go. So the first one, and I didn't do a video on Friday, so we're catching up a little bit. Anthony Richardson's shoulder injury. He suffered a setback to his surgically repaired throwing shoulder from 2023. There was some soreness. He will probably be ready for training camp. I don't like probably. That doesn't sound good to me. So there are some issues here. Now, the Vegas betting odds have flipped. Now Daniel Jones is favored to be the week 1 starter. Jones is sitting at -166, Richardson at +126. It's not a decided battle, but Richardson was -275 to start week 1 just a week ago. So here's what this feels like to me. It feels like Richardson was on his last chance, and this shoulder injury was it. That was the last straw. And now it has changed, and now Daniel Jones will be the starter. That's what this feels like to me. Richardson was bad in 2024. 47.7% completion, 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 6.9 yards per attempt, and 86 carries, 499 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He was horrific as a passer, accuracy-wise. 47.7% completion is awful. 8 touchdowns to 12 interceptions is awful. 6.9 yards per attempt, actually not that awful. Better than Caleb Williams. And 86 carries for 409 yards. 6 touchdowns is really good. So he did average 5.8 yards a carry. Did average 45.4 rushing yards a game. He was good as a runner. Now for fantasy, it was only 14.8 fantasy points a game. That was because he had so little passing production. And he also was, not consistent. There was some time missed with injury. So even with all the running, he wasn't all that great. Now, I do think if you looked at only the games he started and finished, and then kind of, assumed he was going to do a little bit better, Anthony Richardson still has QB1 upside when he plays. But it's not like he was a league winner last year. He was not. Now, what do you do from this? I'm not interested in the Anthony Richardson market. If you have him, hold him and hope for the best. If you don't have him, don't buy. But for Daniel Jones is not a long-term dynasty asset. Daniel Jones is not the next Sam Darnold. I am a Giants fan. I watched 6 years of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is bad for a starter. I mean, Daniel Jones is a fine backup quarterback. I'd love to have him as my backup quarterback. He's not a starter. I don't think he's going to start 17 games this year. I don't think he's going to start for a team in 2026. Now might be a good time to capitalize on his increased value. If you can get maybe a 26-second plus in a super flex for Daniel Jones, I'd happily move on. I have not much interest in Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones's rushing was significantly curtailed after his ACL tear. So the fantasy upside with Daniel Jones is not what it was either. Now, speaking of quarterbacks, another quarterback piece of news. Aaron Rodgers signed with the Steelers. A 1-year, $13.65 million with $10 million guaranteed, worth up to $19.5 million. It's oddly similar, actually, to Daniel Jones' contract, his 1-year deal. And it kind of makes sense. There's incentives based on playtime and team performance. Rodgers was not great in 2024. 17 games, 63% completion, 28 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, 6.7 yards per attempt, 229.2 passing yards a game. Now look at that. His yards per attempt were lower than Anthony Richardson's. Think about that for a second. The 28 touchdowns look good, but the accuracy is not good. The 6.7 yards per attempt is not good. The extreme accuracy of old Rodgers is not there. The passing volume is not there. The yards per attempt, not there. And this was with Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson. Now he has none of that. So his 2024 was basically the same as his 2022, where he was nothing special, except he had much better weapons in 2024. So you would say he's probably worse in 2024 than he was in 2022. The last time Aaron Rodgers had a plus season where he was really valuable was 2021, which is 4 years ago. Imagine what it's going to be this year without Wilson and without Adams. Not going to be good. Now, what would I do? I mean, I would sell Rodgers immediately. Of course, immediately. On my 5 takeaways video on March 24th, think about how long we've been talking about this. March 24th, I was talking about how Rodgers will sign with the Steelers and you should sell him immediately. That was 2.5 months ago, but now we're finally here. I said sell Rodgers when he signs with the Steelers. I'm sticking to that. I have zero interest in Aaron Rodgers whatsoever. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is playing multiple years. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is even a top 15 fantasy quarterback in points per game. I think that's about his ceiling, quarterback 15 or 16 in points per game. He doesn't run and he doesn't have the weapons. I think it's more likely that he's outside the top 20 in fantasy points per game. That's not valuable. And if he's bad and the Steelers start to lose, he could easily just be benched to see what they have in Will Howard. And I do think the Steelers are going to be bad. I will say this is the year I think that Mike Tomlin's record goes down. And I think it'll be very fitting that Aaron Rodgers is responsible for that. With that said, again, zero interest in Rodgers. If you follow me as a content creator, I can't imagine you have shares of Aaron Rodgers. But if you do, now is the time to move on. Now, my next takeaway. So it's not official yet. I'm recording this at 2 p.m. Eastern on Monday. So if in the next couple of hours something changes or whatever, it's not official yet. But it seems as if Nick Chubb will sign with the Texans. It's saying, pending a physical, he will sign. So let's take a look at Chubb's 2024 performance. That's obviously going to be the same wherever he goes or doesn't go. 102 carries, 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3.3 yards a carry, and 5 catches for 31 yards and a touchdown in 8 games. He was horrible. Absolutely horrible. He was inefficient. Not good. Didn't get much volume. Not good. A 0 in the passing game, even compared to his previous career. 5 catches in 8 games. That's horrible. So he was horrible in every possible metric. Now let's look at an advanced metric. Let's see, maybe he was good there? No, not good, actually. He averaged 1.6 yards after contact per attempt. It's dead last among running backs with 100 carries or more. Very comparable to Alexander Madison, who had the same mark in that metric. And Chubb was a lead in this previously. He was over 2. He was one of the best running backs in the league in this metric before his injury, the devastating multi-ligament injury he suffered in 2023. It was too much to overcome. And it's just it. I mean, it's sad. It's a sad story. Nick Chubb is one of my favorite fantasy football running backs of all time, but Nick Chubb is finished. I mean, it was over. We saw it last year. Totally over. He is essentially irrelevant to me. I'd rather have someone like Kareem Hunt than Nick Chubb. I mean, at least Kareem Hunt was fantasy relevant the last time we saw him. Now, what do? I mean, if you're following my content, you don't have Nick Chubb on your Dynasty roster. You don't have him. And even if you did, I don't think anyone's buying Nick Chubb. This has nothing to do with Nick Chubb. There's nothing to do with Joe Mixon. Again, you don't have Joe Mixon. We talked on this channel many times about my feelings about Joe Mixon. And, obviously it is what it is with him. I'm not buying Joe Mixon. So the only thing really to do concerns Woody Marks, who I was out on in the rookie process. I thought he was overvalued. But now, maybe he won't be overvalued. Now, maybe you're saying, well, Woody Marks won't have a chance to play, or he has no opportunity. He's a total 0. He's free. If he's free, I would take him. He's a running back who was taken in the 4th round. The Texans gave up a 3rd-round pick to draft him. They traded that away to get him. I'm not going to totally dismiss Woody Marks. So if he's free, I would draft him. And this is basically a takeaway of, it's not that really that I dislike players that often or like them. It's all about price. When Woody Marks was higher, I didn't like him. If he drops a lot lower now, I will like him. So that's my main takeaway is I think Woody Marks might be a value. If you're doing a startup now or you have a late rookie draft, he could be a value if it's fallen too much from this Nick Chubb signing. If you like my YouTube content, you should sign up for the Patreon. And I do want to thank everyone who over the weekend, I know we didn't get a video on Friday. I do want to thank everyone who signed up for the Patreon. I have to be honest, I feel as if there are times of the year where it just is, I hate that this is what I think I need to do, but I think I need to put more content behind the Patreon paywall, take some of it off the public YouTube, because I'm already saturating the desires of people with content on here and not leaving them much incentive to sign up with a Patreon. So I might have to do that more from time to time, put up Patreon only videos. So yeah, I do appreciate everyone who signed up. I'm not saying that the content on the YouTube will go away, but I do think there are going to be times where maybe there's only 2 videos on here and a Patreon video to encourage people to sign up for the Patreon. I feel like that way of marketing seemed to work unintentionally really well. That wasn't my intention, but it seemed like all of a sudden, mysteriously, a lot of people signed up. So I might have to do that during a lot of the off season. During the season, I'm going to still do content on here. It brings in patrons better than anything else. Now, I'm offering a 50% discount off your first month at all tiers using code TylerYT50. I appreciate everyone who used that code. I believe in the Patreon, so that's why I'm letting people try it at a discount for the first month. And this is going to be forever. You're always going to be able to get a 50% discount off your first month whenever you sign up at whatever tier you choose. I'm going to do that forever because I want people watching the YouTube who are here to be able to get this 50% discount. It's not offered anywhere else. So you have to visit the YouTube channel to see this discount. So that's my way of thanking those who are supporting the YouTube content. Now, you can get my Dynasty and Rookie rankings, access to Discord, my write-ups. I'm doing one on all 32 NFL teams. Patreon-only videos. Those are going to start to, I think, become a bigger part of my content. Direct message fantasy advice and the ability to ask advanced questions for the YouTube, which you'll see at the end of this video. Tiers begin at just $5 a month, $250 with a discount. If you want to know more about Patreon, check out my Why You Should Join the Patreon videos on the channel. I did one this past week. They're under Patreon promos on the homepage. But with that said, again, I want to thank everyone who signed up for Patreon this weekend. There were a lot of you. So thank you for that. If you're on the fence, please sign up. I would really appreciate it. And with that said, I'll move into my next topic. So today we're doing an all news video instead of like doing just random topics because I have a lot of topics. So the next one, Rashod Bateman contract extension. It's a bit of a weird one. 3 years, $36.75 million extension with $20 million guaranteed. But he had 2 years left on his deal worth just $12.8 million on that previous extension that he signed. So this is a raise, but this raise doesn't even come until 2027. So his overall deal is still like 5 years for less than $50 million total with less than $35 million guaranteed. He's still cheap. And the Ravens have him for the next 5 years at less than $10 million a year. So this sounds like, oh, wow, this is a big commitment, but it isn't really. It's not really a big commitment. And in like 2029, $12 million is going to be wide receiver 3 money at best. So this is not saying, this deal does not say that Rashod Bateman is a big part of their offense at all. So in 17 games last year, he had 45 catches, 756 yards, 9 touchdowns, 72 targets, 2.6 catches, and 44.5 yards a game. It's not even an outlier season for Bateman. It's similar to his 2022 production per game and worse than 2021. But his touchdowns randomly spiked to 9 when he'd never had more than 2 previously. We have talked about the Ravens as a touchdown regression candidate. I've done this breakdown in the Patreon a lot. Bateman and Mark Andrews are the two just a totally unrepeatable touchdown seasons. I'm sorry, Rashod Bateman is not having 9 touchdowns on 45 catches again. Period. That's not happening again. You are not having 20% of your catches being a touchdown again. That is not possible. That is ridiculously lucky. He's not doing that again. Rashod Bateman is a roster clogger. He is, for Dynasty, practically worthless. For fantasy in redraft, I would not be drafting Rashod Bateman. So he's basically worthless. He's relevant to the Ravens. And this is when we get to this takeaway. To sell him if there's any market. There's not. But if there is any, I'm only on the selling side. Again, he can be valuable to the real life Ravens, but worthless to our fantasy teams, which is what is the case. He has never demanded any volume in his career. He had 72 targets in 17 games. That's nothing. That's not even 5 targets a game. You are not going to be fantasy relevant on close to 4 targets a game. That's not going to happen. It's not possible. So I like Rashod Bateman, the player. It sucks. He's on the wrong team. If he were on another team, maybe he could be relevant. He's not going to be relevant on this team ever. Zay Flowers is not even a wide receiver 2. He was like a mid wide receiver 3 in fantasy points per game. That was Zay Flowers. Forget Rashod Bateman. So Rashod Bateman is worthless. He's a roster clogger. I'd sell him for anything I could get and move on. And remember, I don't dislike the player, but we're not talking about real life. We're talking about Dynasty fantasy football, and he does not carry value. So let's keep that in mind. The last little takeaway for today, and this is a little takeaway because it is, Amon-Ra St. Brown had knee surgery this offseason. And this seems to be a little bit of a minor concern for now. I will say I will be more worried if this still continues to be a concern in August. Look, Amon-Ra St. Brown is, how do you classify him? He's not elite, as in like he's not the best of the best. He's not Jamar Chase. He's not Justin Jefferson. He's a tick below that. But he's in the next group. He's in the next group of great wide receivers. Really good. Great player. So I'm not fading a really good, great player who's still 25 years old because of an offseason knee injury that might not be an issue. He's not going to miss regular season games. That doesn't seem like it's in the cards. I will say, though, I have noticed that with Amon-Ra kind of not doing much right now, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Sam Laporta have all gotten a lot of praise. Now, when it comes to actually doing something here, I'm not sure that there's like that much to do. I mean, I'm not selling Amon-Ra. I'm not really buying the other players. I'm a little nervous about the Lions as a whole. They're another team like the Ravens where there's a possibility of touchdown regression. And there's no way that it's not going to be as perfect as 2024. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, and Sam Laporta cannot all hit. So something's going to go wrong with at least one, if not two, of those players. It could be Amon-Ra being more of a low-end wide receiver one than a mid wide receiver one. Amon-Ra is not going to be bad, but he could kind of disappoint a little bit. It could be David Montgomery just not getting the touchdowns. It could be Jameson Williams not hitting the big plays, or Sam Laporta not getting the touchdowns. I'm not really worried about Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be fine. But I just wanted to mention this about Amon-Ra's knee because I wanted it to be something that was on our radar because I didn't hear anything about this knee surgery until last week. I don't know how they kept that under wraps, but they did. So keep an eye on it. But as of now, no major concerns about Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I've got a couple of Patreon questions and then we'll close out the show. When do you think 2028 picks should become available to trade after the 2025 rookie draft? That's how it's done on Sleeper typically at the start or end of the 2025 season. So for me, I do not think having picks 3 years out is necessary for a league to run. I think it causes more harm than good. Right now, I would not feel restricted as a dynasty manager if I did not have 2028 picks. I don't need them. I'm fine just working with 2026 and 2027 picks. So what I think is when you roll over the league and a manager pays for that new year, they should get the 2 years out picks. So on MFL, we know that rollover occurs right after the Super Bowl. That's a good time to release the 2028 picks for me. On Sleeper, rollover occurs immediately. You can do it right after the season ends. If you want to release 2028 picks at that point, that's fine. So I think the 2028 picks should be available starting in 2026 at the beginning of the offseason to give managers time to trade, not during the 2025 season. I think that gives too much of a potential of ruining the league and just unnecessary trades of things too many years from now. So that's my take on 2028 picks. There's a lot of Swift hype on social media. It's his year and he's a buy low candidate. Is the hype there? Is he hold? I'm totally out on Swift. Swift is just a player. I'm just out. I'm out. We saw that Ben Johnson hated DeAndre Swift the last time he had DeAndre Swift. And this just feels like a dead zone running back. This feels like one of these guys we're going to say, well, DeAndre Swift must be good because there's no one else there. That type of player tends to fail. We saw it with someone like Zamir White last year. He failed, but no one else really picked up the slack and was good. I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen here. I'm totally out on DeAndre Swift. I don't believe. And I don't think my mind's going to change on that before the season starts. Now, if you like the video, make sure to support the channel by subscribing. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice and content, it's available on the Patreon. Dynasty content year-round, 50% discount at all tiers using code TylerYT50. You can sign up in the top right corner, patreon.com/fantasy advice. Click that link. Every sign-up helps support my independent fantasy football content. But once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.